All right. Thank you all for being here. Really good day back in Milan Pushkar. Appreciate the fans for being here. Thought it was a great atmosphere for a spring game. Tried to make it a fun, something different. Lot of fans on the field right now interacting with our players. A lot of young, maybe future Mountaineers that are out there. So I think that's a really good experience for them. We had a ton of recruits here, both 25, 26. Almost every one of the players that's in our 24 class that haven't enrolled yet. Most of our walk-on class that's coming in July, they were here. So I'm very, very thankful for Pat White and Pat McAfee coming back. Blaine definitely played a role in getting them back, and wanted to do something where they could be around our players, and Pat White's been coaching, and so he's been tied up, and so he hasn't had an opportunity to get back. So to get him back here and kind of reintroduce him to our players, I think them watching him and understanding, man, like what a special talent he was. And then Pat McAfee, who's probably the most recognizable face that's associated with West Virginia right now, to have him back here. And I thought it was important to, in a situation where he could be around our players, and it wasn't something that we wanted to over promote or anything like that. Just wanted to get him back around the football program. So very appreciative of them. That added something. Our guys were excited about that, and our fans were. Today, to be determined, as far as the football, there were some things that I thought were really good, and there's some things that we got to get better at. Going later, you're always hesitant to tackle, so we didn't tackle as much today as we have probably in the previous spring games, just because we're so much later. But I think we did come out of it relatively healthy. Today was about I wanted to put pressure on our specialists, and where they had to perform with all eyes on them. It's kind of the first tee mentality. You step up to that first tee, and all the eyes are on you, and you got to perform. And so, like, Michael Hayes came out and piped one, and then we brought RJ in, and RJ, 54, and he's had a great spring. And so that was impressive. And then Leighton Bechtel, who's been in our program, he's a phenomenal holder, but he had some big balls in front of Pat McAfee. I thought that was pretty cool. And he hit some big punts today, so happy for him. And then offensive defense, it was really, I wanted these guys that are stepping into bigger roles. I wanted to have them show our fan base what to expect. It could be new guys like Zay Jennings. He's a guy that we're really excited about. He showed up today, quite a bit. Maybe it's a guy that's Josiah Trotter that redshirted last year and is getting better. Trey Lathan, who's coming off an injury. A couple offensive linemen, Johnny Williams, Nick Cray, those type of guys that are going to step into increased roles. Like, this spring game is the first time that they've been put out there. And so I wanted to see them perform, and I thought those guys did a pretty good job. But overall, pleased with the spring. Now we're kind of going into the next phase, which next 48, 72 hours you go through, the portal deal. And, I'm just not a fan of the spring portal. I get the portal. You're just running out of time when you have the second window. But it is what it is. We just want to know the rules, and we'll play by them. So, most important thing is continuing to hold on to our roster, and then we'll look to add some pieces potentially in May. And so with that, we'll take some questions.
I know this could be an extensive answer, but give me the Reader's Digest version of what you learned this spring, good and or bad.
Yeah, I think that we're a hungry team that likes to compete. I think that was evident in how we went about our business practice 1 through 14. That shows it's a group that likes to practice. Been stressing, to our coaching staff is we want the best people that love football, and I'm not saying everybody on the roster is there, but a lot of our better players really love football and love to compete, and so that was evident as we went through the spring. I think that the winter program was really good for us. I thought that we did a couple different things I thought that we were stronger, especially on both line of scrimmages, which is something we wanted to. I think our mids, our skills, we got to continue to work, over the summer. But I was pleased with that. I think we continue to be a team that's physical. We've worked tackling a bunch. We're better. I think we're going to be better on our coverage units on special teams. That was a point of emphasis. I think we've developed some depth on the offensive and defensive line. We've got more guys we feel good about. There's great competition in our linebacker room. Our receivers are making the step that we thought they would year one to year two. We need CJ to get healthy in the running back room. Jaheim, will continue. Today wasn't a deal where he really shines, but I think he's got a chance to be an elite player. And he's had a nice spring. At defensive back, we're still a work in progress. There's the new guys. Jaheim Joseph missed today, but he'll be back. He missed the last week or so, but nothing serious. He'll be back. Garnett's going to help us. And I think some of those freshmen, we have some guys back there that have played some snaps at safety, and those guys, we continue to move them around, and they have position flex. But there's some new faces back there that are going to make an impact. I think we're in good shape with our specialists. I talked about Brinkman, I talked about Bechtel Holding. Both. I think we have two quality field goal kickers, and they both showed that today. And then our punting's in good shape. So that's kind of a quick recap. Without I'd probably have a better answer for you, at the end of next week after going back and really watching it all. But just as a quick kind of update.
You mentioned Nico, one of the best players outside of 2 throws. Maybe he had a really nice day.
He did, and he'd like to have that one throw right before halfback. Those are great teaching moments. 6 seconds. It's hard to replicate that in practice, and so I'm glad we got it on tape because we can coach off of it. The deal is you got 6 seconds, and so you want to make sure you got to throw it in the end zone, or you got to kill the clock and give yourself a chance to get 3 points. The only thing you can't do there is turn it over, and he didn't see him. So that's a teachable moment. It'll help make all those quarterbacks better because that's something we can talk about as we're teaching situational football moving through the summer. But he's very very much improved. One of our most improved players on our entire team.
Guards picked today. He's had picks in practices.
Shows up, man. It's one of those new guys in the secondary. He loves to play. Very competitive. He can run. Can play multiple positions. He's flashed all spring.
You talked about Pat McAfee earlier. How does having a guy who's so prevalent in the media world and so popular help with recruiting, just having him around?
Well, I think that, from a recruiting standpoint, we really hadn't thought about it a whole bunch. It was more to me about, you can, whatever your dreams are, whatever you want to pursue, whether it's in the game of football or outside, those dreams can be realized right here at West Virginia. Right here in Morgantown. And that's the thing, like sitting in Frazier's uncle's house last night with that family and sitting across and Dante Steele's being there and goes and has a great rookie season. And then Zach's the 51st pick in the draft. And then you've got Pat McAfee who's coming in, who's got maybe the most popular show in the entire country right now. And it's just, to me, all right, I'm going to go down and visit with some people at the Cancer Gala tonight at the Greenbrier, kind of some who's who of West Virginia people. And the thing that I try to tell our players is any dream you have or anything that you want to achieve in life, you can achieve those things going right here through West Virginia University.
How would you evaluate Garrett? Last year at the spring game kind of was a separator for him. Where is he now? Because we did start spring with a lot of things that he needed to work on despite all the hype he was getting in the offseason.
Yeah. The start of the spring was tough for him because he lost his grandfather, and so that was an emotional time. And I thought he really, on Tuesday of this week, had a really sharp practice. Thursday we did like a red zone period, and he was really sharp. Today he was okay. He wasn't great. He wasn't bad. He missed one hitch. The play that's going to upset him is the one where he could have made the play on the pass where he I couldn't tell. Those are hard catches. I will say this. Those are hard catches because the ball was kind of right over his head. But that's the one that he's going to lose sleep over, is not catching that touchdown pass.
You mentioned kind of reintroducing Pat White. Are current players like too young now to really
Getting
know
there. I
about
don't want to
him?
age him, but it's getting there. But like when you show them the highlights, they're like, oh, okay, you know what I mean? Like, and because he just watching some of the stuff, just kind of refresh our guys, like what a special talent, what he did, and it's pretty. I had Rashid introduced him in front of the team today. And it was about a 5-minute introduction because he went through all those accolades. It was pretty cool.
Element communication, Neil. Are they pleased with that they're going to put that in?
Yeah, we've been messing with it all spring. Today we were really vanilla with it, but it is we used it in the bowl game. We've used it for the last 2 springs, so it's not necessarily new to us. We're using a different company now, but I think it's going to help the game. It's going to help defenses as well. Like, people are kind of underestimating that, but it's really going to help defense.
I was going to ask defensively, do you know who's going to be wearing
We put our Mike linebackers in it, but it's kind of to be determined.
Use the same call sheet from the Penn State game last year?
We ran all the plays that we ran for about we ran at the end of the year. That's kind of what we did today.
Stick-eye defense.
Yeah.
Including
Stick-eye
stick-eye
defense.
Yeah,
defense.
so
That's fun.
I gave some. They had some freedom today, and so I don't really know what we were lining up there early on defense. But the guys had fun with it. But yeah, that's a new one for me too, Gary.
It's obviously impossible to be able to get everybody back here where everyone lives across the country and things like that, but does having the Pats back and kind of even a sense of more appreciating the past greatness of this program over the last year or so make you want to, in future years or even as we go, try to also connect the players to Steve Slayton, other guys that maybe haven't been here in a while that are in that same stature, at least showing them the clips on YouTube since generations are.
Well, we especially in fall camp, we spend a good amount of time like educating them, and Coach Nealon was here today, which is it's always great to have him. And I thought it was cool, 40-year kind of anniversary of celebrating the Children's Hospital on our spring game day. And to have him here, it's always special. And don't take him for granted at all. And it was cool to me before the game that, I don't know if you all saw this, a ton of former players down on the sidelines, man, they were waiting in line to talk to him. I think that's it's a neat thing. We've got an open door for guys to come back. We'd love to have them back. The thing that happens is life. Like Pat White's got 4 kids. I feel it. I feel him. And like there's a lot going on, and for Pat, he's got a ton going on. For him to come, that really meant a lot. I think it shows what West Virginia means to him. And then Pat McAfee, he's at the draft yesterday. For him to come back and make a special stop, he's got a whole lot going on, business-wise, personal. He's got a baby, and so for them to take the time and invest time back in here. That meant a lot to everyone associated with our program.
You talked about evaluating. Today, obviously, there's not a lot of contact. So is your evaluation more guys are getting in the right position to make tackles, to defend, or whatever? It's kind of like a thud session? Or
it's harder to evaluate on defense just because you're not bringing guys all the way down the ground. It's a little harder on offense because, you don't give the guys the ability to break tackles. Line of scrimmages stay pretty much the same. Those evaluations are the same. It's hard on the quarterbacks because talking about Garrett, he would have had a couple really explosive runs. So if we were doing stats, he probably rushes for over 100 yards, and it probably looks a little different. And so it is what it is. I think the health is the number one thing, and it's not that tackling gets you hurt, but it's all the bodies on the ground and people getting rolled up. So this late where we're at, I just wanted to kind of stay away from it.
But when you're looking at it, you want to look, hey, are guys getting to
yes,
the right
exactly.
position?
Exactly. And we have to practice like that a lot. They could have been a little bit more physical on the thud piece of it today. We are in practice, but I think they were being careful.
Tackling, special teams, the 11-on-11 team, would that be the focus this spring? Was that how you characterize it? Or am I missing any?
So what we do is right up until our first scrimmage it's a ton of fundamentals, alignment assignment, playing, in kind of some controlled situations, maybe a team run period, and then you do a 7-on-7, those type of things. And then after that, so that was practice 9, and then after that, it's really just playing 11-on-11 football and letting guys go out and play and compete.
Avery Wilcox winning the Nicholas Award.
Special. I thought it was extremely special, and you know the history better than I do. But for his dad to win the award, and I didn't know that. We chose the winner before that was ever. Before I knew that, and so I think that was really special.
What is it about Avery? I mean, how did
Yeah,
you
so I think that for him, he really struggled here year 1 from a football playing perspective, and then he worked unbelievable work, and he's made himself into a really good special teams player. And it was a process, 2-3 year process, but he stayed with it. He's a great teammate. You know, he's highly intelligent. I don't know if y'all saw that. You know, he was representing the business school down in Florida in a marketing competition. He's a really bright kid. So happy that he was able to get some recognition.
What kind of impact is a 2-minute warning?
It's going to. Yeah, I'm in favor of the more rules we got that mirror the NFL. I think it's better for our game overall. Just as a casual fan turns on a game on Saturday or Sunday, it should look very similar. You know, from a rule standpoint. There's way too many differences right now, so it's somewhat confusing for a novice fan. You know, there's going to be a little bit of strategy. I think it's great for the officials because the rules change under 2 minutes, so it's a good reminder for them. And clock operators and things like that. There's going to be some strategy involved from a coaching perspective, just like in the NFL, where do you take a timeout before or after the 2 minute? You know, there's going to be some strategy involved.
What does the helmet calm coming in add to that also?
You know, I don't know about the 2 minute, but it takes some of the sloppiness off the sideline. You know, I think you're going to still see that for teams that want to play fast, but it takes that and gives you some options. Like if you feel like a team has really got your signals, it gives you some options on how you can communicate. I think it's going to help on defense a lot as well.
Yeah, would you want to see the guardian caps more often?
Yeah, you know, I think this may be the first spring game. And again, it goes back to the NFL. You know, I think you saw that where it's probably why you're asking the question because they allow them to wear in games. And so I would assume that's probably where we're headed. It's not going to be necessarily in the fall, but I would not be shocked if that's kind of where we're heading. But yeah, we just kept them on. We wore them every day in the spring, and we just kept them on today.
You know, just the experience with Zach last night. Talks about Beanie, Doug, Devin, who might go today.
Yeah, well, you know, I think that I don't think Zach could. To me, he was a first-round pick. I think he's going to play for a really long time, but I'm not in that league, and I'm biased because he was here. But I do know this, like he's going to be a significant player in the NFL, and so for him to go to the Steelers, you know, so happy for him and his family. You know, it really, you know, I told our guys this sitting in his house last night. We had several of our current players, you know, Dante and Darius were there, and even some of the mothers of our players were there. And to me, like I had Dax with me, so I was kind of off in the side, and just, you know, seeing a dream come true. But those people being there for him, you know, it just kind of brought back, you know, and I'm not trying to be sappy on this or anything, but just brought back, man, there's some real camaraderie in this game, and just really a proud kind of, hey, sit back and kind of watch all this, really proud moment for me. And I think too is I want to like Tyke getting drafted, you know, in the third round. You know, he had a lot of adversity down there at Georgia. You know, we were able to spend some time at the Senior Bowl, so happy for him and his family. Now I believe if he stayed, he would have, you know, maybe went last year. But in serious, I'm happy for him. You know, so much his development happened here, and so I'm happy for him. And you know, Beanie and Doug for sure, and Lee and Marcus. There's several guys that are going to get a chance. You know, I think without question that after Beanie ran that time, you know, his tape and his times, you know, they show the ability to go play at that level. And I hope, you know, Doug really played well in the All-Star game, so I hope that translates into success today.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.